Hello dear student, welcome back to math session. Today here we are going to study an inverse proportion. So what is meant by inverse proportion? To understand this, let us consider one example. Okay, suppose some peoples are are gathered to dig 90 pits for tree plantation program. Tree plantation program. Okay, now so one volunteer digs one pit in one day. Okay, so if one volunteer dig one pit in a one day, so definitely how many total pits are there? 90 pits. So 90 days will require. Okay, but if I consider there are 15 volunteers. Now how many days they will require to dig 90 pits? Okay, so definitely it becomes what? 90 pits divided by number of volunteers or the peoples. Okay, so 90 divided by 15 is equal to 6 days require to dig the 90 pits. Okay, now second case, if I consider instead of 15 now 30 volunteers are there. If I consider there are 30 volunteers, so how many days they will require? We know that total holes that we want to dig are 90. Okay, divide by number of volunteers are now 30, so it will require the what? 3 days to dig the pits. Okay, now if you observe all these three cases, what you people understand? In first case 90 pits are there, and if the 90 peoples are there, then one day is required to dig the 90 pits. Second case, now instead of 90 the volunteer become 15. Okay, number of holes or the pits that want to dig are again 90, so 6 days are required. In third case, if I increase the volunteer from 15 to 30, then the 3 days are required. What you are understanding from this example, that if I increase the number of volunteers, okay, in first case 90 or one volunteer is there, 90 days are required. In second case, if the 15 volunteers are there, 6 days are required. In third case, if the 30 volunteers are there, 3 days required. Here suppose I consider the number of volunteers, okay, and days require to dig 90 pits. Okay, in first case number of volunteers is 1. Okay, then how many days are required? 90. In second case number of volunteer become 15, then the 6 days are required. In third case, if the number of volunteers become 30, then the 3 days are required. Now if you are observing this table carefully, okay, one thing that you are getting, that if the number of volunteer increases, yes, it increases from 1 to 15, 15 to 30, and if you are observing on this other side, the number of days required, that will decrease. So at that time we can say that if one quantity will increase, then second quantity will decrease, then that two quantities are said to be in inverse proportion. Okay, so here if the number of volunteer increases, number of days required to dig the 90 pits are decreases. When such a relationship is there between the two quantities, then we can say that these two quantities are in inverse proportion. Okay, so I hope all of you understood the concept of inverse proportion. In next lecture we will solve the examples on inverse proportion. Thank you.